count on LEX 18 News.
A man on the run after a double murder in Michigan is dead after police found him hiding at a Madison County hotel.
A deer crossing the road cost a motorcyclist his life.
And as we approach the anniversary of the Gatlinburg wildfires, we look back on the tragedy and ahead to the future for the popular tourist town so many Kentuckians love. LEX 18 News at 6 starts now. Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. And we begin with an update about the breaking news we've been following in Madison County, where state police say a double murder suspect from Michigan was surrounded in a room, then took his own life.
The scene is at the Super 8 Hotel on North Keeneland Drive in Richmond. That's just off US 25 near the ramp of I-75, exit 90. Conroy DeLuche is live there with more about what happened.
More than 2 hours after that single gunshot was fired inside the Super 8 here in Richmond, police have just left the scene. A car was towed away, and now authorities are trying to work with Detroit police to figure out more information about the suspect and also the crime that he's accused of. A TV station in Detroit is reporting that the man found dead inside the Super 8 was wanted for a shooting that killed 2 people inside a home on Carter Street in Detroit. A third person was injured when she tried to escape, and a fourth hid in a closet during the shooting. This morning, the shooter was on the run, and police said they were looking for a victim's ex-boyfriend. Police there tipped off Kentucky authorities that the suspect was here in Richmond this afternoon. Local and state police evacuated the second floor of the Super 8 and then asked the wanted man to come out as they surrounded his room. Then they heard a single gunshot. KSP says when officers went inside, they found the man dead from a self-inflicted gunshot.
We have investigators that are going to comb through anything that may be inside that could be of value to Michigan, to the Detroit Police Department.
We still don't know the suspect's identity at this point, but police here in Richmond and also in Detroit are working together to find more information about the double shooting he's accused of this morning and also make a proper death notification. We're covering the news live in Madison County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom. Back to you.
A wreck in Fayette County took the life of a motorcyclist after he hit a deer crossing the road this morning.
The crash happened around 10:15, about half a mile past Evans Mill Road on Old Richmond Road. Catherine Gardner has the LEX 18 big story at 6.
He had on full gear. He had on leather from top to bottom. It's just a misfortune that the guardrail was there.
It was a gruesome wreck that took place on a straight stretch of Old Richmond Road with no alcohol suspected, no speeding suspected, just a deer and a motorcyclist, both at the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's just a tragic accident that I would hope that would never happen to anybody.
The unidentified motorcyclist was apparently heading out of town when he came across a deer in the road today. According to tire marks, officials say the motorcyclist tried to swerve to dodge the animal, but ended up hitting the deer and crashing into the guardrail. Due to the speed he was traveling, the driver was quickly thrown and pinned by his own bike. The cyclist was also apparently wearing a helmet, but the force was so strong, his helmet flew off.
If the guardrail hadn't been there, he would have probably been okay because he would probably slid into the thatch here that's from the right-of-way.
Covering the news in Lexington, Catherine Gardner, LEX 18 News.
And that motorcyclist has been identified as 49-year-old John Kepler.
Today marks 50 years since the deadliest plane crash in Kentucky history. Family members and supporters of crash victims held a memorial at Aviation Memorial Grove in Burlington. That's in Boone County. The victims' names were called out loud and a bell tolled for each life lost in the 1967 crash of a TWA Flight 128. The youngest crash survivor was one of the many at yesterday's ceremony. Tracy Smith Ebby was only 15 months old at the time of the crash. Tracy was found in a tree and was known as simply the baby.
To get to meet the first responders who were here is a big thing. It's just been part of my history. I don't remember anything about it, which is a good thing, but just to know that I was the youngest survivor.
70 people died in that crash. 10 passengers and 2 crew members survived. Infamous cult leader Charles Manson died in California last night of natural causes at the age of 83.
What some people may not know is that he was raised early in his life here in Ashland, Kentucky. LEX 18's Lee Searcy just returned from Boyd County with that story.
Far from the heinous headlines sits a simple house on a quiet street where Charles Manson lived as a child.
We're fine with it.
It's been Keith Salisbury's home for 26 years.
We were told by some friends of the family that he had done a research paper back in college and that Charlie Manson was actually conceived in this house.
No official records about that, but here at the local library, we learned his mother, Kathleen Maddox, was just 16 when he was born, Charles Mills Maddox. He never knew his biological dad, a local custodian. His last name was changed to Manson when his mother married another man. When he was 5, she went to prison for robbery. Manson lived here on Hilton Avenue with his grandmother until he was sent to reform school. At 14, he committed his first crime, a burglary, and his life went downhill from there. So what's it like living in this serial killer's home?
It doesn't bother us in the least bit.
Maybe not for Salisbury and his wife, but
The dogs are scared to go in one portion of the house, so we say, well, it's because Charlie Manson was conceived there. So
they won't go in the room?
no, well, they won't go anywhere around it.
If only the dogs could talk.
Yeah, exactly.
covering the news in Ashland, Lee Searcy, LEX 18 News.
Well, that is a beautiful picture for you. We've got the last colors of the setting sun, and if you look at the top right up there, we have to go. That's like where Charlie Weaver used to be up there at the top left. You've got the moon, little crescent moon out there. Anybody get the reference? Anyone? Little old Hollywood squares?
Oh.
Actually, Wally Cox would have been up there.
No, wasn't he in the middle?
No, that was Paul Lynn. Paul Lynn. Charlie Weaver would have been down there, and Wally Cox would have been up there at the top left.
Get it right.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, there's your beautiful picture tonight. Here's the Max Track Live Doppler, which also is quiet tonight. Future Track, not much going on. We will look at the day tomorrow, and with that, you've got a couple of clouds. That's on a warm front. So we'll see temperatures jump up nicely tomorrow afternoon. Be a windy day, though, but not like it was on Saturday. Your temperatures are running low and mid-40s now, although you got the upper 30. Monticello comes in at 39. Lexington, we're at 42, and again, it's a brisk night. Your day tomorrow will feature a little sunshine mixed with the clouds. It'll be a breezy day, not as cold. Temperatures eventually heading into the upper 50s. So circle gets the square, and we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes.
Goodness, thank you, Bill.
A Taylor County couple recalls the harrowing moments they survived what was just confirmed a short time ago, a tornado.
And now they're cleaning up the mess left behind by the storm that ripped through their property Saturday. LEX 18's Kylan Mills has the story.
Mangled trees, collapsed buildings, and 2 lives turned upside down by an EF1 tornado in Taylor County.
This is just unreal. It's completely unreal.
Homeowners Rob and Glenda, too shaken up to talk on camera. He says they were out in their shop taking care of their dogs on Saturday when the wind started howling.
It's like a helpless feeling, like you're trapped in an air bubble, and you hear that noise. It sounds like a freight train. And that noise and that pressure together, I mean, it makes everything inside of you just drain out.
Rod says they dropped to the ground, terrified.
When we got down, I know she felt that way, and I did too. It's up to the Lord now if He wants us or don't want us, you know, and that's all you could do.
Part of the wall of the shop was ripped off, but the couple crawled out without a scratch, looking for other damage.
I could see metal sticking up in different spots, but I couldn't see my barns down there no more. So I knew then it had really tore those barns up bad.
The tornado flattened their barns, but Rod and Glenda's first worry was their cows now trapped under the rubble.
Come back with a chainsaw and cut some wood and open a spot up there where 4 of them climbed right out.
Today starts the cleanup and rebuilding, but they're just thankful for what they call a miracle.
For us to be sitting on the couch yesterday afternoon, eating popcorn and watching a NASCAR race, and everything around us is tore up, it just seemed like nuts to me.
Covering the news in Taylor County, Kylan Mills, LEX 18 News.
Nearly a year after flames ravaged the popular resort town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, LEX 18 went back to the scene of the devastation.
Hear from a Kentucky family who says they lost much more than a home to those fires. Next at 6. Next week will mark 1 year since the worst natural disaster to strike Gatlinburg, Tennessee. A 10-day-long wildfire devastating a town thousands of Kentuckians visit every year. 2,500 buildings gone, more than $500 million in damage, and 14 lives lost.
And the effects are still being felt today, especially for a Kentucky family who say if they rebuild, one thing will not be restored. Steve Butera and photojournalist Matt Garner traveled to Sevier County, Tennessee for this LEX 18 original.
It's the town known for scenic views.
Cheese, take it, smile.
Tourists get a slice of mountain life. Or at least a slice of homemade fudge. A lift in spirits, but believe it or not, haunting the minds of some here.
Every time I come to the property, it's kind of been hard.
Is the progress yet to be made after the deadly 2016 wildfires?
Well, I don't think we ever really thought it was ever going to go away.
Ashley Sarver traveled from Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Oh, I'll show you this real quick.
To see what's left of her grandmother, Charlotte Bowles' Gatlinburg home.
Just to pull up here and it be so open because everything's gone.
Charlotte loved two things. Her Kentucky Wildcats.
That's her day. She'd be yelling, she'd be like, come on, boys.
And Gatlinburg. And didn't want to leave when the rapidly spreading fire came close to her home.
When they were leaving, the image that I sent of the house, it was through a screen door kind of, and that was the smoke rolling up the mountain.
This was a pretty horrific event here.
About 1/3 of the buildings burned in Gatlinburg are now under construction. Mark Adams with the city's tourism bureau says during the 2016 inferno, a building burned every 15 seconds.
And we're still in that recovery mode here. And we anticipate being in this mode for at least another year to 2 years, possibly even 3 years.
Now, one of, if not the biggest memorial for the fire victims is here at Anakeesta with the Memorial Forest Walk. It's a way to remember those who lost everything from those wildfires and those that lost their lives.
Realize that, we were part of the story of Gatlinburg. And to make it a significant part of the story, we felt like it was an important thing for us to do to create a forest memorial walk.
The outdoor attraction with a 2,000-foot tall lift up the mountain opened after the fire, a sign that this town is coming back.
Oh, Lord.
May have been wounded. Some of the attractions and restaurants that actually did catch fire, but some of those have rebuilt. But for the most part, downtown Gatlinburg is still here.
But that's not to say everything will return to the way it was.
It's not ever the same. Everything's gone.
Ashley's grandma will never get to see her house rebuilt. Charlotte Bowles was in hospice care in this very home at the time of the fire. She died in March.
It wasn't sad for the things that she had lost, but it just broke my heart that she lost everything right at the end. And she was ultimately going to die too, but sorry.
In fact, the house she loved is now a resting place. Charlotte's ashes are scattered here.
They're on this property and then they're in the mountains.
Those Tennessee mountains that she loved. The mountains charred from the fires 1 year ago. Those scenic views now slowly coming back.
I just want to see it back. Absolutely for her.
With photojournalist Matt Garner in Sevier County, Tennessee, Steve Butera, LEX 18 News.
And someday soon it'll all be back. The Storm Tracker forecast coming up next.
I just wanted to show you the picture again. This is the last little bits of light out there as we're looking to the southwest there with our Kentucky One Health weather bug camera. That's from Nicholasville, St. Joseph and Jessamine. But we've also got the crescent moon sitting up there. So that's a nice picture. If you can, go out and take a look at it for yourself right after the weather segment here. Again, that's from St. Joseph and Jessamine. And with that, you're looking at a MaxTrack Live Doppler that is quiet. There is not much going on. We get a one-day warm-up tomorrow. A dry cold front wanders through Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then Thanksgiving week in general. Nationally, it's pretty quiet. No big weather systems aside from maybe at the corners. You're looking at temperatures this morning. It got cold. Now, on a clear, calm night, Monticello traditionally is our cold spot. The airport there in Wayne County sits down a little bit of a bowl, and so all the cold air just pours right into that bowl, and that's how they end up in the upper teens while everybody else is sitting in the 20s. 23 in Frankfort, 25 this morning in Richmond. It was 25 also in Moorhead, but London and Somerset were at 23, 24 this morning, Bluegrass Airport. Right now, we're low in mid-40s most places. Now the cold air beginning to take effect in Monticello. They were the warm spot earlier. They've already dropped into the upper 30s as, again, that cold air pours down into the valley. 42, Bluegrass Airport. We've got a wind chill of 38, south wind at 7. It'll keep the temperature from falling too quickly over the evening. High temperatures, okay, we were brisk yesterday. We saw temperatures today still well below normal. We actually go above normal tomorrow into the upper 50s. There's your dry cold front for Wednesday. We rebound through Thanksgiving and Black Friday. All in all, though, again, not bad. So we start out with clear skies. That's how your day began, as we saw through most of the morning into the afternoon. Sunshine was in abundance. The last couple of hours, some high, thin clouds began to come in. That's what made the pretty sunset. But again, lots of clouds out west, but very little in the way of rain. So here's the setup. Main storm track remains up in Canada. High pressure that brought the cold of the morning is now all the way over into the Carolinas. Winds already turning southerly behind it, and they will strengthen some tomorrow. Again, you see all the isobars. That means it'll be a windy day for us tomorrow. Southwest winds, though, will help to warm things up. Cold front approaches late in the afternoon toward the evening, and then we'll watch the wind shift tomorrow night. If they come back down out of the north, that means your Wednesday will be greeted by cold temperatures. As Wednesday continues, the high will slide overhead. That guarantees us a terrific looking Thanksgiving Day. And the next warm-up already beginning to take shape out to the far west, as the next storm in that northern tier is already beginning to come ashore in Canada. So let's take the future track. Let's extend it out. Here is Thanksgiving morning. It will be cold, so do be prepared for that. You've got rain going across the southeast, rain and snow up in the Pacific Northwest. Most of the country looking good but cold. So again, Thursday morning, New York, of course, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which you can see right here in LEX 18. It'll be a cold day, but it'll be a dry day. We go into Thursday evening. Rest of Thanksgiving for us remains cool. Warm-up begins to take shape out to the west. Black Friday morning, not as cold. Again, you've got problems going on in Florida, a little more in the Pacific Northwest. Another system clipping across the northern plains. But again, most of the country going through your Thanksgiving weekend does remain tranquil. We'll get you into Saturday. Some snow along the Great Lakes. For us, Sunday morning and Sunday during the day, both will be cold, but dry. Mainly clear tonight. Not as cold as it was last night. We're in the mid-30s, and it's upper 50s tomorrow. A windy day, but again, not like Saturday's wind. Again, a mostly sunny sky. Rest of your forecast goes this way. Colder for you on Wednesday. Thanksgiving Day looks dry. Governor's Cup Day Saturday looks terrific. More LEX 18 news after this.
The UK basketball team returns to the home court tonight at 8 to face a Troy team that's 2-2 and led by Kentucky native Phil Cunningham. The Wildcats dropped one spot to 8th in the rankings and are currently 3-1. Cal will be looking tonight for more from his team than just their athletic ability.
It's not your skill set, it is your energy, your passion that you're playing for, your ability to play harder than the guy you're playing against, your extra effort. Then your skill comes into play. I'm trying to convince this whole team of that.
EKU played in Las Vegas today, where the Colonels lost to Prairie View A&M 80-70. Nick Mayo led EKU with 25 points and 6 rebounds. The Colonels dropped to 1-2 on the year. Tight end C.J. Conrad won't play against Louisville on Saturday. He's done for the year. Conrad, who leads the team with 4 touchdown receptions, hurt his foot against Georgia and will have surgery done this week. You know Louisville wants some revenge for what happened last year. Alan Cutler has more on the big game, and this is also senior day for the Wildcats.
When you get blown out like you do against Georgia, there's a negative hangover for True Blue fans. Stoops says don't worry about the team. They will bounce back quickly because that's what they've been doing. Put it in perspective. The last time, 2 years in a row, this football program finished at least at 500 in the conference, the 2 starting quarterbacks were Tim Couch and Dusty Bonner, 1998 and 1999. The goal is 8 wins.
8 wins. I don't think it's been done in, 33 years? You know, that means something to me.
Saturday is senior day. When it comes to Matt Elam, who's been a huge disappointment, Stoops didn't want to talk about the what-ifs when it comes to his career. When it comes to the quarterback, Steven Johnson, and his linebacker, Courtney Love, Stoops is happy to talk about both as players and people.
They've both been such great leaders and very impactful and, you know, very good football players, but more importantly, what they do off the field has probably been their most significant contribution because they're both just really special people.
For 5 years, Stoops has been talking about doing things for the first time. The last time, Kentucky won right here against Louisville, 2009. That's a long time ago. Alan Cutler, LEX 18 Sports.
Thank you, Alan. Louisville brings a 7-4 record to Kroger Field on Saturday, winning just 3 of its last 6 games. But you know, this is one the Cardinals have had circled on the calendar for over a year. LEX 18 News will be right back.
Better tomorrow?
Yeah, warmer. Warmer and a little windy. Will be in the upper 50s
better.
tomorrow.
Always better.
Yeah, so there you go. Yes, the answer to Nancy's question is yes.
Was that so hard?
Thank you, Bill. Nightly News is next. Good night.